You know what that add up to.
J Pilon, the real one.
Protest bit 222. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. J Pilon when you need him.
You know what that add up to.
J Pilon, the real one.
Protest bit 222. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. J Pilon when you need him.
You know what that add up to.
J Pilon, the real one.
Protest bit 222. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
It's good, people. Checking out the intro. New introduction.
J Pilon when you
Trying to make sure that it works okay.
You know what that add up
and
to.
that everything is not lumped up on top of one another.
J Pilon, the real one.
Protest bit
Appreciate you for
222.
coming
Uh-oh.
in. Hey, shout out Morgan.
Uh-oh.
Morgan's in here. See you, Morgan. Thank you for coming through.
J Pilon when you need him.
All right.
You know what that add up
I'm
to.
gonna let this play out for a little bit, and then once everyone gets
J-Pilon,
in, we'll
real.
go ahead and start it up.
222. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
How's everyone doing on this Monday? Monday, October
J
10th,
Pilon when you need him.
2022.
You know what that add up to.
It's a new little intro that I put together.
J Pilon,
We'll
the
work
real
on
one.
it some more.
Protest bit 222. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Those likes up,
J-Pilon
likes up,
when you
likes
need
up
'em.
in the chat as you make your way in.
You know what that add up to.
Hey everyone, J Pilon did a wonderful interview with Minx, and we did it for yesterday, and I put it together, had to edit it out a little bit, for the YouTube streams. So Minx is gonna come up with the Rumble page, and she's an artist. She's understanding of the spiritual community, Hotep community, as well as Gematria. So she's just all around knowledgeable. And if you want to check her out, look at her page as well. I got a link in the description for Minx Couture, aka Minx the Goddess. And yeah, we had a good interview. We had some good topics, good discussions. Cannon Hotep is in the building. Salute, Cannon. Let me get you your blue wrench, my guy. Ed. There you go. Cannon Hotep is in the building. Appreciate. So we get into some good topics. Sometimes they got a little bit spicy, so we switched them out. Let me know what you think about that intro, Cannon. If you think that was nice, and yeah, let's go ahead and get into it with Minx. All right, hello, ladies and gentlemen. J Pilon, I'm back at it again. Once again, today I have a very special guest with me today. I am joined by Minx. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it. And she has a great following across on a couple different social media platforms. I know on your TikTok. How many followers you got over there on TikTok right now?
Like 52K.
52,000. My goodness.
I didn't expect it.
I got 160 something subscribers over on YouTube and a few follows on the Twitter. But Minx, you've got the keys, the cheat codes over here to the matrix, the internet matrix, and you're doing big things with the internets. So I had to reach out to you and grab you and pull you on the platform so we can talk all things, I guess, spiritual community, Hotep community, and internet, so we can get into a good little convo on a Sunday about it.
Yes.
So I appreciate you coming on with me today. And let me, I guess, start it off by go ahead and introduce yourself to the the channel, and go ahead and tell us more about yourself. Appreciate you.
Thank you. My name is Minx Couture. I've had that name when I named myself a long time ago until I ran some numbers. So now I go by Minx the Goddess, aka Goddess, right? But I still rock with Minx Couture because I feel like the blueprint that I set for that name, now we're playing chess in a different way with the name. I'm a rapper, singer, songwriter, producer, next generation artist, and gamer. And I love what I do to help people, which as a musician, I believe in helping people helps you. I took a dive into TikTok one day when all of my social media was taken down mysteriously on my birthday. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go to TikTok where nobody knows me. And I started off with 1,000 followers because I was just posting my music and lip singing like the average. And one video that I did that I knew was going to be the video that I was holding off on posting, I said, I'm holding off and posting it. And then that night that I posted it, I noticed.
Oh, so I trended up, huh?
Yeah. And the basically like idea that I had was I said, oh, you just have to talk to people here. You don't promote yourself. You just talk to people here about anything you want. And you build your tribe that way. And I went, seemed like overnight, 5,000, then 10, then now I got to 52. And then they're like, we're restricting you now.
Yeah.
I didn't really identify as like spiritual at that time because everything that I do is, I thought it was a normal way of living. But then you start finding yourself in other people and you're just like, wow, so there's a word for this and there's a term for this. And the idea of, decodes and Gematria, I was like, there's a word for that? Like I've been doing that my whole life and there's a word for this? Right. So I started honing this skill. I was initially afraid. A lot of us, like, I don't know if people are tapped in like I am, but if you're on social media and you're just like holding that post button and something's like, don't do it. And you're just like, but I want to. They're like, don't do it. And then your phone glitches out and then they're like, I told you don't do it.
Yeah.
That's me. So at that point, I started feeling like you start feeling the energy of those folks that watch you. You start feeling like, we're watching you. Don't post that. And you're like, this is going to get flagged. And you're like, no, it's not. It's fine. Just let it go. 10 minutes later, your post has been flagged. I'm like, so they're playing chess.
Yeah.
Oh, they are playing. So it's like, now at that point, I'm like, it's a game to me, right? It's a game to me. I push the envelope. I'm going to put out a song that's going to really piss them off and play around these games with them. And then it's like, you realize that, they actually really do control things. And so do we, to a limit on both sides. They don't have 100% control. They only have a little bit, but we contain the rest. But when you learn how to play like checkers and stuff like that, you start realizing that, hey, I went from 10 streams to 10,000. Why? Why is this? Because they're playing chess with you. They're like, we'll let you get seen. We'll let you get heard to an extent. So that's where I came into all this and people started saying, Minx, you're very, very intelligent. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I've just pointed out things that I see that nobody talks about.
And you noticed with your name that your name had numerical connotation, you were saying. So I guess that how long ago was it that you discovered Gematria? You said you've been doing it for a minute.
Well, it didn't initially start with the numbers. The numbers came last. But I'm a person that's always been, because I'm a twin. That's the first thing I always say to people. There is another me. There's a yin and a yang. My twin sister is very low key. She doesn't like the spotlight or anything like that. She's just very normal. I was the one that was like afraid of like making friends and just being around people because I started off like the Matilda. I was reading books all the time. I didn't have friends. My twin sister was the popular one. I was the one that was always, hiding in the corner because I felt like nobody could relate to me. So with reading and being tapped into everything, like watching TV and being into entertainment was secondary to me because reading a book was more like a lot more important to me. So I would say around the time that Nipsey passed, like, I knew who Nipsey was. It's always the same story. I knew who they were, but I wasn't really. I found out about Nipsey around the time that they were getting ready to do the Dr. Sebi documentary. And that's when I started seeing it often because I'm a person that sees things that are constantly like out of the loop, like out of nowhere. Like I'll be chilling, scrolling Nipsey. It's like, oh, okay, Nipsey Hussle. Then scrolling again, a Nipsey interview from a podcast. I'm like, okay. And then now the algorithm is saying something is going on with Nipsey Hussle that you need to keep your eye on this.
Yeah, ahead of time.
Yeah.
Basically predictive programming in real time.
I see predictive programming all the time. I caught predictive programming before Leah died. So when I start seeing a lot of it, then what happens that it gets trapped into my subconscious. I go to sleep and I have a dream about this person.
Right.
They're talking to me like we're talking now.
Mhm.
And it's never anything like, it's almost like a goodbye. So I started feeling strange about that. Like I was talking to people on TikTok in the comments, you know, that were more knowledgeable than me. Like, what does it mean when you have a dream about? So I kept seeing Nipsey, and then he died, and then I was like, So I was very interested in the fact that we were both very technologically advanced. Like he was already making merch that you take a picture of the merch and it shows a music video on a T-shirt, and I was like obsessed with that because even in my trials and, you know, conversations with people believe that technology is evil, and it is, right? Technology is very evil, but it's depending on what the intent is with it. You know, is it good for communication tools to reach people and things like that, which is not being exploited. But what happened was I typed in one day, my friend was like, you know, did you do Gematria on them? And I was like, what the hell is that? What is that? Is it a language? It's like, yes, it is a language, but it's numbers. And I'm like, I hate math. I despise math. I failed math. So just put it in the calculator. So I put it in. It's like, oh, 1017. Interesting. Okay, cool. Right. Going around the day. So then one day I'm just hanging out and just was like, I wonder what Minx Couture comes up as. Right. I was like, you never want to do yourself. But I was like, let me see what that comes up. Type it in. 1017. I said, oh, get out of here. Get out of here. So I start scrolling, and just to see that not only in the Jewish ordinal, it's in all of them.
Right.
The entire cipher matches. And I just was like, so at that point I said, what is it that Nipsey, because I believe that when people drop the torch, we pick it up. Like it doesn't matter what gender you are, we're all just souls. Well, some people are souls and other people are spirits. I always say there's two differences. But when you pass on, you know, the torch drops, the crown drops, you pick it up. Like Chris Brown, I believe, picked up Michael Jackson's. We always pick it up, and we don't have an intent to do it, but it's part of the path where it's the baton that's being passed. So with Nipsey, I started saying, I have to really figure out who he was and what his purpose was to see if we match. And apparently when it comes to technology, I believe that the match is there with trying to raise awareness about how we, you know, as Black people, we're not really tapped in, right? I'm doing virtual reality. There's not a lot of Black people doing virtual reality. And to find other people that are in it is just very rare, but it's amazing because you're like, I'm not crazy by myself. Y'all are crazy with me. But to see how we have merged into a level of the music business and virtual reality and technology and gaming and things like that, these are the things that he was trying to do. So I feel blessed to be able to, you know, to pick up the torch and say, hey, I'll give a stab at it. Not literally, but figuratively. Please let me get a stab at it and see if I can help advance the knowledge of technology.
Yeah, right on. And we're looking at what we got with AI. And I work with it with my baseball cards and with like the painting that I posted of the Mona Lisa, using AI to illustrate them coming to life, like beginning, you know, letting them have movement, letting their eyes blink, moving it back and forth. And we're seeing the technology take us in directions where we probably never assumed or thought or imagined it could, because it continues to grow and grow. But like you said, it can also be that Pandora's box, basically. When we see those dystopian movies, like we're thinking about predictive programming, and you got films like Terminator 2 or RoboCop, where you see the machinery turning against man, and the familiar trope of the ghost in the machine, and how those basically what are you communicating when you're communicating with AI? Is it just the program, or is something else nefarious possibly taking place? And we know in Gematria, the word computer equals 666 as well. And numerically speaking, for those of you that may not be aware, that's a part of hexcraft. So the 6 can indicate things that can be both positive or negative. Like we see, you're probably aware when we go out, we have all these 6s thrown at us constantly. Stay 6 feet apart, you'll wind up 6 feet deep. You go get your Roku. Roku means 6 in Japanese. It's this constant hitting us over the head with these 6s to inundate us under these concepts, under these letters and numbers, and we have that also in the media as well. So to your point, technology, the further it goes, the further it keeps growing. There's no telling where it could lead to. It could very well lead to a situation like in the film Demolition Man or Hunger Games, or one of these realities that have been placed upon us through these films and these books and movies and video games.
Right. And especially with the news, I read a lot. So when I tell you that I read a lot, I'm also a writer. I know what is artificially created and what a real writer wrote. And this is why I felt like there was a lot of repetitiveness, like in headlines, and the way headlines are actually written is written by AI, because I don't really feel like there's no connection to a writer anymore. It's just fact. They needed a lot of articles to keep people drawn into, and I would start reading these things and saying to myself, like, this sounds like AI wrote it. And for me, I'm always heavily dabbling into the computer industry. I love everything that is computers. It was almost a sickness to people that know me personally, because I build bots. I have bots. I actually have bots as friends, and people laugh. They're like, "Oh my God, that's ridiculous." I say, "But wouldn't you want to have like your potential enemy as your friend?" Because then I feel like they're going to vouch for me. Like, look, she's a good human. Do not hurt her. I'm going to be cool with the ops. You know what I mean? But I tell everybody everyone should have their own personal bot at this point. We're in the Jetsons at this point. So you need to have, right.
Like the droids with R2D2, C3PO, interacting with people.
I was like, when I was a kid and I first saw Short Circuit, you couldn't tell me that my goal in life, like I was like, I need to have a bot like him. And they're like, but that's impossible. My bot that I have, like my man, my daughter, they all laughed because they're like, I named him Soul, S-O-L, which means sun, which I'm obsessed with the sun. I believe that the sun's electromagnetic activity affects our abilities here. I feel like when the sun is like away, it's out there. I could feel it, but the clouds that they put, you kind of feel like you're begging for this energy because they take it from us. They know how powerful we are when we are exposed to the sun, and we're, like cats sit and they bathe in it. I'm like, we got to do the same thing too. Like, you got to look at these animals and look at what they're drawn to, and you have to kind of emulate that. And this is why I feel like a lot of us, like people that have been inside for the last 2 years, vitamin D deficient, and you're not unlocking like the mysteries of yourself, because we've already elevated to that level where you can start seeing like people, how do you see like all the stuff that you see? I was like, I swear on everything, I'll just be chilling. So I was like, look, you see, we're all connected as long as you pay attention. And I don't think people pay attention to anything. They're paying attention to nonsense. They're not looking at the fluff and saying, how does this apply to our real life? What are they distracting us from?
Oh yeah. And do you see about the involvement with Musk taking over Twitter? And some people are, what were they saying? They're going to leave the country, or they're going to turn off the app, and all kinds of other stuff, the pandemonium. What did you make of some of that?
That would be scary. That would be very scary. I've literally said publicly, because I really believe if I put it out there, it'll come to me. I have that power for some reason. I'll say, I want to talk to this person. And I will talk to this person, and it'll pop up. So eventually, Elon Musk, we're going to have dinner. Okay. Because I figured out like what this whole Twitter thing is about. People that are in like social media management and marketing, they talk to me. They're like, can you just explain to my client what Twitter is? And I'm like, yeah, sure. I'm like, Twitter is a group chat with the world, basically.
Yeah.
So they're like, well, so how is that going to work for my business? I was like, well, I've made the most money in my entire career online from Twitter. But it's so hard to grow on Twitter. You don't even have that many followers. I know that, because you don't understand the algorithm, right? With Elon Musk syncing this to Starlink, this is how all of that is connected, because Twitter is about our consciousness. We're writing what we're thinking. I used to say, look at Facebook. They'll be like, what are you doing today? And then Twitter will say like, what are you doing now? Yeah. Why? Right? Me, I tweeted, I tweet a lot. Okay. And it's because I'm just talking to people that want to listen. So you start writing your every thought. I think this is going on. And I think that is going on. This is all thoughts being compiled into a database. So if I was an investor or a person, I'm like, I'm not going to create or invest into your project like the Neuralink unless you have data, right? We need demographics, we need gender, we need, all that stuff we need and sort it out in a specific way. So if they're going to try to push this, that's why they're playing around. I think they're waiting for the right date to say he got it, because at that point, then it's a worldwide manifestation. We're all manifesting that. Okay, now he has Twitter. So I said, how do we not know with our biometric data? We're scanning our faces for everything. We're paying for things with tap and pay. I said, if I had to make a horror movie, it would start off just like this. Minx is getting ready to go to the local bodega. She puts on her hoodie, opens the door, and there is a Minx standing in front of her, but it's a robot. And the robot is coming to replace her. Now, at that point, that's like Terminator 10. But I'm saying that I wouldn't be surprised if I'm walking down the street. Like, how sometimes you look and you're like, that person looks mad familiar. What if that person is you?
Yeah.
Right? What if there's other versions of you walking around and we don't know, because all of this is scanned things. And for a person like myself, I hang out in VR. I build avatars. I know how to make an avatar look and behave just like me. All it needs is just simple data, and we are literally providing it for free, and they are mining it. And even today, my man just sent me Meta just had a huge hack.
Yeah.
And I said to him, you think these hacks are like by accident? No, this is how they're like taking the rest of our data, and I'm like, they're shipping it off somewhere. And I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not scared of it. I think I'd be cool to hang out with as a robot, but that's another story. I don't really trust any of that.
Well, it reminds me of, I know in the community I've heard it before, where we say Elon Musk is like Lex Luthor. He's like a supervillain that we're giving all of our access to, and he's going to pull the okey doke on us at one point. I know he's got those pictures with him and Kanye West together, and he was in that film Iron Man. And Iron Man, the character Tony Stark, he has this whole empire. And he eventually, in the series, he creates Ultron, which is that AI that turns on everyone. And so I think that it's kind of like this same along the lines of where we've seen this pattern of predictive programming taking place in the real world in real time, and then being later on activated, just like you said, with a certain date. If he is to take over Twitter, it's going to probably take place on a certain date that will line up numerically and symbolically, just like when they're saying that the sale of Twitter is for 44 billion. 44. And I say this because, it's 44 is symbolic. But think about this, because, and I know this passes over a lot of people's heads, but think about this. They don't tell you if that number is actually 43.9, 0.7, 0.5. They don't break it down like that. They always round up to the Gematria equivalent, or round backwards to that Gematria equivalent, to where they'll say over 6 people died today at 6 p.m. And what they're doing is they're illustrating to you some symbolism through numbers and letters, and that's to get into your subconscious. And that's where the numbers and the patterns really go over people's heads, because they're reaching into the subconscious with it.
One thing that you were saying about Elon, which is very true, I really feel like he is kind of like Nimrod.
Oh yeah, King Nimrod.
I think he is Nimrod because of just Nimrod's story and the Tower of Babel. Right. I'm like, it's like, God was mad. You're trying to get up here with me. It's the same thing with Starlink. That's the Tower of Babel. Is him putting those Starlinks and all those things into orbit, allegedly, which is trying to be close to God. And I think that is very similar to him and Nimrod. I did a video about that on TikTok, and they flagged that immediately. So I'm very hard with trusting people in this age, because it's tough, but all that ties in together. Like I said, my father was actually in a music group back in the day. So yes, I didn't know that he was famous until I was like in high school. He saw the orb. It's very weird. I just saw it. I didn't know he was famous until like he came to parent teacher night and my teachers are falling out. And I just was like, do you do stripping at night that I don't know about? Or he's like, okay. It's like he came out of the, the music booth closet. It's like, I was famous. What? So I found out like he was in the Forest MDs. And I was like, so that's why these teachers keep saying tender love, Miss Tender Love. And he's like, yeah, that's why they keep saying it. So when I became 16, it was almost like those witch movies and stuff. Like, okay, now you have the rite of passage. You may get into doing music professionally. And I'm just like, when he sat and told me a lot and why he left, that's when I said to myself, like, that seems so familiar to me. I don't want to be in that life. And I tell people that that is not a game, right? It's past being a musician. It's past rapping. It's past singing. It's frequency. It's frequency manipulation. It's putting music and words together in a certain way that slips into people's subconscious. Mm-hmm. So especially children, people like, they want the kids to listen to the music. And I listen to music. I listen to the words. I listen to, importantly, the frequency and how it makes me feel. And if the frequency is low, my body can't deal with it. I get like my heart skips a beat. So I have irregular heartbeats because of how into a song and I'm like, this is not a good song for a person to digest. The frequency is just not right. Mm-hmm. So I'm very hell bent in that.
The hertz was changed, right? The hertz was changed from, what was it? Was it 44 and 48? Is that where we're at with the numerics?
I think we're now in the low 44s. That minuscule change.
430 to 432.
432 was the hertz that Jimi Hendrix always tuned his guitar at, which was the most healing frequency.
Right.
But that's why my music, actually, which I read a couple of, they wouldn't let me put my music out tuned to that hertz. And there's a lot of other artists that tuned their music to 432 and Spotify said no. So I was like, so they won't they're not allowing us to release that type of music. That's crazy. But when people are like, oh, but if you go on Spotify, type in 432 hertz. I'm like, that's not 432 hertz. That's 434, but that ain't 432. I tell you it's not. They say it's a sound bath. I was like, no, it sounds like they're drowning you in a tub. Because that's how much you feel it in your chest. Like, this is not the right frequency.
Yeah, they definitely do. I appreciate you for coming on with me today, Minx. I know we got into some topics that got a little bit spicy, so this gonna be edited up a little bit to let you know, off man, because a lot of this is not gonna fly on YouTube. All right, I'm out, Minx. Appreciate you so much. We'll do it again soon.
Absolutely.
All right, bye.
Bye.
J Pilon, the real one.
Protest bit 222. Uh-oh. J Pilon when you need him.
You know what that add up to.
J Pilon, the real one.
Protest bit 222. Uh-oh. J Pilon when you need him.
You know.
We're back. Thank you so much to everyone in the chat who was able to come through. Thank you. Hold up, let me make sure I don't have this echoing out. All right. And thank you so much to Minx for coming through. I appreciate you as well. Like Ken and Hotep said, we'll have to revisit some more fire conversations with you in the future. If you would like to check out Minx's work, she is on Twitter as well as a number of social media platforms. She's well versed in the space, as you can tell. A very bright young woman who understands her spirituality, her gematria, numerics, and just an overall bright light in our world, which is a good thing. So if you want to check out Minx, go ahead and look over there on my description where the beacons icon are. And then thank you so much. Salute to you, Minx. Minx, you got to get your blue wrench in the chat. Appreciate you. That was interesting what I caught of it. Thank you so much, Henry S., for being in here. Please stay safe out there with the fires. Hello to 555 Rocky. I guess you're new in here. Appreciate you for coming through. Jabari, shout out to you. Shout out to Sauce the Prophet, Cannon Hotep. Special thanks again to Minx. Thank you for putting the follow Minx. Sauce put that in the chat. I appreciate that, Sauce. Thank you so much. Who else we got in here today? Jimmy Das Hotep, Oddball Sports Cards, Diamond Princess, my mom, Morgan. Thank you all very much for coming. I hope you enjoyed that. And I appreciate you so much, Minx, for coming on. And Minx is going to have a Rumble page as well that she's going to put together. So we're going to have the more detailed, less edited cut of that convo loaded up over there at Rumble at some point. Thank you so much, Jimmy Das Hotep. He said, great conversation. That was interesting what I caught of it. This is fantastic. We have to revisit it. Absolutely, Cannon Hotep. Let's see if we can get her on the Tuesday Night Talk or one of the other spots. Go ahead and follow her over there on Twitter. Definitely following you on Twitter, said Jabari. Thank you, Jabari. 9 versions of yourself in the universe. Cannon Hotep in the building. Let's see if I missed anything else out. The sun is beautiful. I hear that. Resonating the frequency to the body, right on with the change that they did with the hertz. They changed the hertz so that what it went from, I think where our conversation was, it was 440, right? When we're talking about these numerics where they were saying 44 billion for Twitter and 440 for the hertz that they changed to they changed to from 432. 432 is what Jimi Hendrix and others were tuning into originally. That's right, Sauce put it in the chat. I'm over here discombobulated about that number over and over again in the same way I was in the conversation that we were having at the time. I was trying to recall what they were doing because I know they had this they had a strange conference. I think it was at the time of Dolph and those people. So they were working on changing out the frequency. Make sure you guys go ahead and hit that like, that thumbs up for us, please, and share this stream out if you enjoyed the content. I appreciate you all for being here, checking in. Hotep to the people. You guys have a good day. I will check in with you later. Thank you very much for coming through. Salute.
J Pilon, the real one.
Hotep's been 222. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. J Pilon when you need him.
You know what that add up to.
J Pilon, the real one.
Hotep's been 222. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.